Years ago, I wrote this book. It's called Making a Ripple, the 2x4 canoe. And in it, towards the back, there's a section on making a trailer that we use to haul our canoes with. We'll get a close-up of this a little bit later. Well, I thought for a long time, first of all, I had a spring on the hitch, and I thought, is that spring really necessary? And then I was thinking, you know, that trailer that we made is pretty one-dimensional. You can just use it as a cradle to haul the canoe, and really that's it. The canoe itself becomes the tongue. I thought, what if we could come up with a nice, lightweight, sturdy trailer that could be used to haul a watercraft. The tongue could be taken off, and it could be used around the yard just as a cart, like a garden cart. Or you could take your canoe or kayak off and then just use it as a cargo trailer to haul behind the bicycle. So I came up with this design, and the wheels are designed the same way as what's in the book, except in the front I didn't use the conduit, I just used 3/4 inch plywood. Otherwise it's pretty much the same. The base is 1/2 inch plywood, and then I framed it in cedar. I just took 1x6 cedar boards, I ripped them in half, I cut a slot in them, and for the panels I used just aluminum trim coil. I wanted something lightweight, and I thought about the corrugated plastic that we use to make our inserts in our garden stream self-watering planters. And then I also thought about the mini corrugated metal that we use to make our raised beds. And both of those I thought would be good choices, but I just bought a 50-foot roll of this aluminum trim coil to make one of our octagonal composters, rotating composters. So I thought, well, I only needed 6 feet of the stuff, so I thought I'd use that. I don't know if I'd use it again. It's, you know, it gets a little bit tricky getting it to fit in the slots and get it all together and all of that. But anyways, it makes for a nice lightweight trailer. Now I built this one for somebody who has a 10-foot kayak. It's not made for this canoe. This is one of our ripples, and it's 14 feet long. You know, the front of it's right behind my back. It's 3 feet wide. The trailer's 28 inches wide, but it's made for a 10.5 foot long kayak. So it would certainly fit the kayak much better than the canoe, but I took this down the road. It works really well. So I think we'll take the canoe off, and I'll show you a little bit more, take you around the trailer a little bit, and then we'll talk about the details of the hitch. So this is the original trailer design that's in the book, and it works well enough. It's made dozens of trips down to the lake and back. It works fine. And up here, you know, the canoe itself becomes the tongue. And so here's that spring that I thought we needed as a universal joint. Now, I don't know how many mornings I laid in bed thinking, do we really need that spring? It's really not necessary. In fact, it really works better without it. So we've eliminated that step. So here is the main component of our 99-cent seat post trailer hitch, bike trailer hitch. And these are the other parts that we need. So all this is a 1/2 inch thimble that you go to your farm supply store and go where they sell the cable and rope and get the 1/2 inch. We lop off these little points on the end and then drill a 1/4 inch hole in, spread it apart however much you need to slide over your seat post, and the rounded shape, kind of horse collar shape, allows it to act on your seat post like a universal joint. And then this is just 1-inch plastic PVC conduit that I put a slice in, and these are just spacers that go over the seat post on the top and the bottom. We'll go over here and take a look at the bike. So as you see here, this bike has a shock absorber in the post, which meant that this had to be down fairly low. So I just put a small, like a 1/2-inch piece on the bottom, and then my 1/2-inch thimble, and then another spacer up here. Depending on your seat height, you can cut these lengths however you want. And then I just used a 1/4-inch pin, 1/4-inch by 1.5-inch pin that goes right through there. And the 3/4-inch conduit that we flatten in the vise and drill a 1/4-inch hole near the end, round the end so it fits in there. That's all in the book. So really the only difference, the only thing I do different here is I eliminate the spring. And then I stuck this on here just because my canoe was banging on that a little bit. But what I did here is I just put a 1/4-inch carriage bolt through, and then it slides into some 1-inch conduit, and I put some tape on it for a nice snug fit, and there's a pin on the in there, and so that's removable. And then I just bent 3/4-inch conduit so I can use that as a handle when this becomes a cart. Another feature I have is, since I want to use it as a cart, I needed some feet on it, because otherwise when it sits, it sits like a rocket ready to take off. So I just thought the easiest thing to do is just cut a piece of 3/4-inch conduit with 2 positions. So I just have 2 holes. One is the down position and one is the up position. Now, probably not the most fancy or even the handiest, but it's the cheapest. And then I just put some little rubber feet on the bottom. So when they're in the down position, they can stay there when you're using it as a cart. When you're using it as a kayak trailer, if your kayak's not so wide that you can fit your hands in there, you can slide them up after you get your kayak strapped on. But if, like our canoe's so wide that I had to push them up and secure them and then use a bucket underneath the trailer while I put the canoe on before I attached it to the bike. So not ideal, but again, it's made more for a narrower kayak where I think you could get your hands in there to raise and lower those feet. So it's handy to put your kayak on when the trailer is at least somewhat level. So here we are with the tongue removed. So that's, again, that's just a 1/4-inch bolt, and then a pin that goes through. I'll flip this thing up. So it's just a piece of 1-inch electrical conduit. If you got Schedule 80, 1-inch Schedule 80 pipe, 3/4-inch conduit slides right in. There's no need to build it up with tape or anything, but I didn't want to spend the $6. So I just attached that, and then there's a hole in the side where the pin goes through. And the wheels, because I used 1/2-inch plywood as a base, are attached to that on the inside, as opposed to my original design that had both the inside and the outside axles of the bicycle wheels attached to 3/4, or what ended up being 1-inch, 2 1/2-inch pieces of plywood glued together with a piece of threaded rod in the center. So that isn't quite as sturdy as this method. This is just simpler. So there you have it. If I ever learn how to edit this thing, I'll make the changes and eliminate that spring. But for those of you who buy the book and are interested in a trailer using a seat post hitch, which I find to be the most convenient, then eliminate the spring and just follow all the other directions in the book, and you'll have a nice trailer to pull a really nice canoe. We love them. About 40 hours to build it. 4 16-foot 2x4s ripped into 1/4-inch strips. 36-inch beam, really stable. This one weighs 56 pounds. This one was just made with off-the-rack 2x4s from Home Depot. The other 4 that I've built have been cedar, either white cedar or red cedar. But they're quick and easy to build, and they're a very stable canoe, and I just love them. So, just an overview, not a detailed how-to on how to make it. For those of you that are handy, this should be enough information to get you on the right track, to get you on the road. So, once again, this is Mark with Backwood Basics.